ends up getting a pearl labyrinth off of somebody, right? And great snake, checked it. I was very scary about respiratory infection. I was checking the mouth, everything's great. So this is a major no-no, and I should have knew better, but me being stupid. So, and you know, this is what happens, you know, in keeping snakes. You go through trials and tribulations. I'm just making this video so somebody else won't. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully there's somebody out there watching like, oh shit, good looks. To let you know, these respiratory infections is serious and they could pass through your whole shit and just fuck your whole shit up. So, I purchased a pearl labyrinth female, and came in perfectly healthy. So what happened was, I was in the works of building a cage, but I already had one cage that could fit her, and it already had my hypo in it. So I was using hay. So what happened was, since the hypo that I had in there was kind of small, I put her in a little bin until I finished the other cage, and then I was gonna put the new snake. So I put the new snake in her old cage, but I didn't change the substrate, none of that. So this guy here. So what happened? So I noticed 2 weeks passed by, she's doing good, she's eating good. So I noticed the hay starts sticking to the mouth area. So I'm like, why the fuck? So long story short, she had a lot of saliva coming out her mouth. So I'm like, all right, fuck it. So I'm like, damn, I start hearing you know, when they're dealing with respiratory infections, the problem is they have a whole bunch of mucus in their lungs, and they're trying to hack that up. But, you know, snakes can't cough or sneeze like us, so it's clogged up there. So all they can do is this weird gesture where it's like, bleh, bleh. So I see her start doing that. So I'm like, fuck my life. Because not that I was happy the last snake died, but after that snake died, I was like, I kind of dodged a bullet, because that shit could have spread through my whole collection like wildfire. Because I didn't move it, because my cages are so big, I can't just move a big-ass cage and put it in another room. So I had to stay here. And, you know, a lot of people in the reptile world are scary, like, nah, you got to remove it because your whole collection is going to catch it, da-da-da. I was worried about that, but I couldn't do it. So she gets it. So now I'm paranoid, because I'm like, fuck, here we go again. And the last snake died from it. So I'm like, damn, this is a fucking waste. So anyway, I tried treating her by boosting the temps. Boosting the temps did work, because what happens is you kick the immune system on heavy, and it just starts, you know, fighting off, I guess. And it really didn't go away, but it calmed it down a little bit. I don't know how I could say that, but it did. And I went to the vet. I was hesitant, because you got to realize, when you're dealing with antibiotics for reptiles, especially snakes, a lot of them are harsh on their kidneys, because a lot of them are nephrotoxic, if I'm saying it right. So, you know, I wasn't quick like, oh yeah, let me get the antibiotics and stuff up. Nah, because, you know, that shit is no good for their insides, because, you know, these antibiotics are fucking strong. So basically, started her. I didn't want to play with amikacin and then it don't work and then switch to another one. So I'm like, yo, let's just start off with the heavy shit. So I started off with the baytril, and you know, she still had the symptoms for a while. And when I say symptoms, I mean like hacking up the loogies, the phlegm, doing that. A lot of saliva, mouth always wet, bubbles always there. And she's a big snake, so her mouth is kind of like, her slit, like, you see how they have that slit right there? Her slit is kind of big because she's a big snake and she's older, so her lips are set up funny, like, she already has a big slit. So that big slit was always wet. I was checking it every day. I'm like, fuck, still. And that's just the mucus coming out. But I'm like, fuck. Because I thought, you know, after the couple baytril shots, like, she would have been good. And still. So it was a course of 8 shots. On the 7th shot, I started to see results. I started to see she's clearing up. What else? She's clearing up, and she's not hacking. She's drinking more water. She's pissing more frequently. And boosting the temps, you have to do that around this time, because if you don't have the temps boosted, that antibiotic is not going to do what it got to do, because it also needs help from the body, from the body's immune system to kick in. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, so boosting the temps, had her like at 100 and change on the hot side, and like the other side was like 90, 88. Like she had no choice but to be warm 24/7, because it's kind of like you sweating out a cold, you know, or fever or whatever, you know. So like I said, towards the 7th, I was giving up hope. I'm like, fuck. And I just bought this snake, so I'm like, god damn. Then on top of that, I started getting paranoid, because you know, when they have respiratory infections, you can hear it. It sounds something like a motor, like a when they're trying to breathe. Because what happens is their lungs are huge, but their nostrils are tiny. So they're trying to breathe through the nostrils, and the phlegm is in between, the mucus is in between getting caught up. So it's making a instead of just them breathing like a smooth breathe. It's not happening because they got mucus. So you're listening for all these things. So I just started being paranoid. Like, I'm checking everybody, because I have some snakes that are really expensive. So that'd be a bummer for those guys to get sick. So I'm checking, and I'm like looking for this. So I see my hypo lab. So I see her with some bubbles in the mouth. I'm like, fuck my life. Go to the vet. I get this test called the culture, and basically what that is where they test for bacteria that they find in the, I believe it's called the trachea. Snakes have this little tube that while they're eating, they could breathe through. So whatever bacteria your snake has is always in that area, whatever respiratory infection it is. So got that snake tested. I'm paranoid now, like, oh, this shit is spreading. That snake came back good. I was just overreacting. I was just paranoid. Probably just drink some water. And you know how they drink water sometimes and throw a little bit of that shit back up. So that's probably what happened. So where was I? So yeah, and back to this girl. Towards the 7th shot, it started to kick in. So I'm just making this video just in case you're going the baytril route. Give that shit some time before you give up. Like, damn, this shit ain't working. Towards the 7th, 8th shot, that shit was really kicking in. It was really like clearing up. Mouth was dry. I'm not hearing no more motorcycle breathing. No more hacking up phlegms. Throughout the whole ordeal, she was still eating, believe it or not. So that was always a good sign. A bad sign is when they stop eating and their body's just getting weaker and weaker. So that was a good sign. And ever since then, she's back to normal. No wet mouth, no breathing weird. So I don't want to jinx it and say she's 100% healed, but she's 100% healed. And also, she's feeding great. So hopefully we're gonna let her body rest these couple months. And I'll probably skip this breeding season with her, even though she's more than ready. But yeah, I don't know yet. See how she does first, because you know her body's been through a lot with these shots. But yeah, she's doing great. And yeah, just with respiratory infections, just to avoid shit like that, like if you're swapping snakes around, clean their cage. Don't put it in the next snake's cage with the old substrate, even if it looks clean or it doesn't have no shit or no piss, because it can get your snake sick, and you don't want to deal with a respiratory infection. And I'm happy to say nothing in my collection right now has a respiratory infection or any signs of it or anything like that. So that's great. Because once one has it, I swear you get addicted to it, and you're checking that snake every day. You're grabbing the mouth. Let me see if it got. And it's fucking annoying. You don't want to deal with that, to be honest. So, also, what I learned, also like hay and certain beddings, like you really got to be on top of them shits. I'm trying to avoid it. I'm trying to switch all my snakes over to this corrugated cardboard. It works wonders. It's thick. It's not like paper towel. So you put it in there. It absorbs water good. It cleans great. You just roll it up, throw it out, put a new one. It's perfect. The only reason why I still have hay in some of my cages, because some of them I built and they're out of wood. So what happens is if they pee, it's gonna seep to the wood. But if I have the hay, it goes through the hay and it just sits there. So I use the hay. So I'm just more diligent now with the cages that do have hay. I'm always checking, always cleaning on a regular spot cleaning. Then after a while, I just do a whole cleaning. And yeah, like I said, so don't mix your snakes up. Don't put them in this cage if that cage is kind of dirty and just for temporary, because that shit could really fuck you up. And people gotta understand also with respiratory infections, it's not one base thing. A respiratory infection is just how can I explain it? It's basically just a name of a whole bunch of things. It could be like basically like it's different bacteria. So it's like in my case, in both the cases I had, the snakes came back for this bacteria called pseudomonas, and pseudomonas is fucking annoying. And trust me, like you don't want to deal with that. There's a whole bunch of other respiratory infections that's out there, but that's the one I've dealt with twice. And so I lost the first battle and I won the second battle. So if you're dealing with pseudomonas, I recommend go see your vet. Don't waste no time with the F10. Even though it did work for me back in the day, I don't suggest it. And that's about it. I'm going to show you this girl real quick. Just because I love you guys a lot. Oh, damn, I can't flip it around. Well, let me... This is her right here. She's looking huge. She just had she just ate a chicken. Switching some of my big snakes over to chicken, some of my females. Shout out to my guy, T. Darnell for the chicken theory. Switching on, look at that lump. That shit is crazy. And one thing I seen with these snakes is big snakes, it's hard to give them something to give them like a nice, you know what I'm saying? To give them a nice size dent in their stomach. You know, because rabbits are so thin and lean that when you feed it to them, it just stays there like, you know. So I'm mixing it up though. I'm going from chickens, rabbits, maybe guinea pigs, because I want to spread their diet out a little bit. And yeah, so like I was saying, just, you know, keep these animals' cages clean, man, because I'm telling you, you don't want to deal with a respiratory infection. And plus it's embarrassing because the first thing when people hear, oh, respiratory infection, oh, this snake got some dirty ass cages, he don't take care of snakes. I take extra care of my snakes. These guys are the first things I get into as soon as I come home. First things I check in the morning. Sometimes my wife and my kids gotta tell me like, you didn't even tell us good morning, you over here checking on this thing. Like, these are my babies, so you know what I'm saying? Like, just, you know, just be on top of your cages and, you know, try to avoid these respiratory infections because they're no joke. Like, I hate when people even talk about them because you're jinxing yourself. Like, yo, what are some of the signs I got? Shut the fuck up. Don't worry about it until you get it because most likely you don't have it. But if you do have it, trust you're going to know. Your snake is going to tell you. You're not going to have to wonder. It's going to show itself. But peace out, guys. I've been talking too much. Calvin's Creatures, we out. Say peace out, Thanos.